Okay. This is Edip, April 21st, 2020. Today, put away your phone, especially your cellular phone, and turn the TV off or go to another room. This is a very interesting topic I would like to discuss with you. And there are many videos on this subject, many articles and books, but you may hear it differently from me. It is but random. Random. What is random? You think you know? Well, random is that is not orderly, that doesn't have order, that you cannot predict. What is order? The one that there is order, that you can predict. You may find some definitions. In your mind you have an idea, you think, but the more you ponder on it, you reflect on them, you think, you see that it is not that easy. Maybe even they are mixed. When you say it is not order, it is random, at one point you say, no, it's not random anymore. That will be the difficulty, one of the difficulty, but other thing, whether there is even a random. Maybe you can imagine random, like you can imagine infinity, whether the universe, is there infinity in the universe, in real universe, as ontological fact, not in your imagination, in our imagination, not theoretical. Whether there is random in a deterministic universe, or whether there is even possibility of random even in our imagination. Because if we cannot define it, if we don't have a perfect, good definition of it, then you may just make it up randomly a word, a concept that doesn't really have its intended meaning. Its intended meaning may be only subjectively that we don't know the order, but if someone else knows the order that you think it is random, it may be what? It is up to the person. Well, if there is God, there is no random. God knows everything. Now, I want to share with you one of the experience I had. Very interesting. 2013, I think it was September 27. I put somewhere in order not to forget. Yeah, September 27, 2013, I was at Princeton University for two reasons. One, my son was there. It was my son's first semester. He had been there for maybe a couple of months. First year, my younger son, Metin. We spell out his name as M-A-T-I-N-E, but pronounced as Metin because of my younger brother, 2 years younger than me. When he was at age 20, I was 22 or 23. He was assassinated by fascists in Turkey. He was coming out of the mosque after the Friday congregation, and he was ambushed in the yard in front of his friends. And that day, there was an exception for me. Instead of praying there with him, I went to another place. They invited to another mosque nearby, about 1 mile north or whatever side. Anyway, when I came, I saw my blood, my brother's blood on snow. And there was a crowd, and already they had taken him, but he was killed by several youth leaders of fascist group, and one of them, one of the murderers, became member of Congress. They people rewarded the murderer. And what kind of murderer? Someone who killed someone who did not have even anything on him, comes out, greets them, and they ambush him in front of his friends. Anyway, yes, because of that, I gave my younger son, Metin. He was there as a first year, and I went after he started there, September 27, I am there for a speech, a conference on constitutions. And I was presenting Peacemaker's Constitution, which together with Salih Lace, El-Shaiban. He's also co-translator of Quran and Reformist translation together with me. Very open-minded, progressive intellectual. I had also presented Peacemaker's Constitution in one of the top seminars at the University of Arizona. University of Arizona ranked as #1 in political philosophy. I was invited to present there because I graduated from there, from philosophy, University of Arizona, and then law, still here. But in philosophy, especially political philosophy, is considered #1. And I presented there too. But here I am there for this Peacemaker's Constitution for presentation, and my son is there. I'm enjoying the environment. I love Princeton, the city. Beautiful small city, intellectual, smartest people on earth, well-behaving too. And the landscape, the buildings, fantastic. The campus is glorious. I love it. Anyway, while I'm there, I said, well, let me go to the math department, discuss my book, 19, God's Signature in Nature and Scripture, with some of the mathematicians. I challenge mathematicians all the time. Instead of challenging, let's go, present them, let's get feedback. Because I want mathematicians to see this and appreciate this incredible stuff. One of the biggest, I could say, the biggest discovery in human history, the discovery of code 19 in the Quran and in the Old Testament in 11th century, about how many 100 years? About 900 years before, by Rabbi Judah. And we are going to have a documentary series of films on this subject. We had a short documentary on this 19, but we will have a very beautiful, incredible on this topic because it is full of prophecies, 19 prophecies. I went there to the math department. I go to the secretary, I say, hi, I would like to see a math professor here, preferably, and I have preference too, preferably in number theory or in statistics. No, the lady says no. None. She didn't say no, she says, do you have an appointment? I said no. She said, then you cannot meet anyone. I said, I am coming from Arizona, all the way from Arizona. I come here. I'm not here all the time. And I would like to meet the mathematicians. Nope, you need to have an appointment. I said, but I have written a whole book on one number 19, God's Signature in Nature and Scripture. I didn't say the title, but I said this is very important for me while I'm here. My son is a student here. I want to see a math professor. Nope. She was saying, no, 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 no concession. And then I got upset. When I get upset, I don't use any four-letter words, F words, never use. I am a kind of Puritan. Since my childhood, I had decided when I was middle school kid, never cuss words, obscenity, never gamble, like marbles. They were taking each other's marble by gambling. Playing game and then whoever wins take others' marbles. Nope, I said there is injustice there. And never drink alcohol because I saw some drunk people would pass, especially weekends, and children would stone them. Oh my gosh, what ugly, disgusting, and cruel scenes I watched. Therefore, no alcohol, and then no girls until I get married, and no lying. And in that sense, I kept all my promises. Maybe small lies that doesn't hurt anyone, deceive anyone. I did it because not to create big things, especially with my wife. Edip, did you eat that cookie there? Did you eat this cheese? What did you do? Those kind of things. But there's no cheating. I haven't deceived anyone in my life. None. No cuss words except obscenity all my life. I know these are big things. You may not believe me, but as people who knows me, look at my videos throughout, over the 1,000 Turkish and English videos and writings. But I misspell. A few times I spelled out like S-H-I-T. I don't say it, but I spelled it out. But once I did a gesture regarding an obscene gesture, it was a European Parliament. I had a speech about wars, about military-industrial complex, and it is on Twitter. And I say Twitter. Well, by the way, Twitter suspended my account. I had about 142,000 followers, very actively involved in politics, religion, mathematics, sciences, and stuff. But my criticism of AKP, the fascist, religious fascist party led by Erdogan, my former comrade, my criticism of that, his trolls basically complained, one of a little bit strict criticism of them, suspended me. I'm not sure, it has been 2 weeks. They still did not open it yet. I don't know what will happen. In fact, I wrote an article defending freedom of expression. I didn't do anything wrong. I criticized a government that kills people, that imprisons tens of thousands of political people, and in fact helped ISIS and corrupt, steals billions of dollars from people. My words against them, and you are suspending mine, but letting him and his trolls get away with that, and I'm becoming the one who violate the rules of ethics, but those who kill people, imprison them, steals money, corrupt government, they get away with that. Their tweets still out there, and unbelievable. Okay. I don't know why I'm from there, I'm going there. Too many issues, entangled. Random issues. Not random, they are related. Anyway, what I was going to there, okay. I went to the math department at Princeton University while I was there. And then I saw the secretary. I say, I would like to meet a professor, math professor. She said, no. No, I'm sorry. She didn't say no. She said, do you have an appointment? I said, no. Then she said, no, you cannot. I said, but I have come all the way from Arizona for a conference here. I will be here for 2-3 days with my wife. She said, no. I said, well, trying to make a case, I have also my son who is student here. It didn't help. She said, no, if you don't have an appointment, you cannot meet them. Princeton University is a great university, top university in the United States, especially at undergraduate. It beats Harvard 9 out of 10 times, out of 10 times. There are great mathematicians there. And then I got upset. Oh, that was the one I was telling you. Look at me, from where I went there, and then now I came to the point. Now I remember. I said I'm not using cuss words, but one of the worst words I use. And then I said, I want to see a crazy professor here, a crazy math professor. I a little bit raised my voice. Honestly, why? I think some of them are available in their offices. For a few minutes I can go there and present them the number 19. Here is the, in case you're curious. This is number 19. And, my God, this is incredible. I don't want it. PDF available, and also it is on Amazon. Anyway, and then when I said I want to see a crazy math professor, that moment, as if the word crazy is like a password. You know, Cinderella says, the Cinderella, you know, that woman says something and the pumpkin turns into a carriage. It's like that, magic. And that secretary who is a no, following procedure, bureaucratic, gate closed. She suddenly, her face shone, eyes opened. Yeah, Professor Conway, John Conway. He's there. Where? In the Nook. I have no idea about Nook. The word Nook, English is my fifth language. I didn't know the word Nook. I never used the word Nook, and this is the first time I hear the word Nook. But she showed me with her hand and hallway. I say Nook must be someplace. Maybe the name of the room is Nook. But since then I know what it means. Anyway, I'm going looking for him. Since I don't know Nook, I'm looking for the rooms. I couldn't see someone that I could predict, I could kind of guess that he's a professor there. I see some young students in one of the rooms. I knock on the door, I enter, they're graduate students. I said, I'm looking for Professor Conway. Oh, he says, he's in the Nook. Where is the Nook? Here. And then one of them came and showed me. Well, it was Nook. Nook means a room that doesn't have doors. Means three sides. Looks like maybe in geography, in topography, is like a peninsula. By the way, this tea, I put some pomegranate juice there. And has potassium in it. Potassium is good for your brain. Not too much. Don't have so much dose. It should be about maximum 5 grams. Potassium. You have also in bananas, potassium. And the atomic number of potassium is also very interesting. Now, I see in the Nook a guy who is in his maybe 70s, a few years older than me that time. He was on an art chair, laying down like this. I can say about 150 degrees. Not this is 90 degree, but he was laying like this. Yeah, 140 maybe. And then in his hand he had a marker, black marker, and he was falling asleep. He was asleep. But the marker somehow miraculously, or semi-miraculously, or quarter-miraculously, he was holding in his hand. Precious. And in front of him, there was a wall, about maybe 2 meters away. It was maybe maximum 3 meters, 3 meters in front of him. There was a wall. On the wall, there was huge board. The board was filled with numbers and formulas. And while engaging in mathematical thoughts, this guy is very famous, legendary. He died recently from COVID-19. It's another thing. And I discussed 19 several times with him, became friends. And then I looked at him and I passed because I didn't want to wake him up. Look at me. I have empathy. My empathy was more than my curiosity about engaging in a delicious talk on the number 19 with a mathematician at Princeton University. And just while I was passing, I hear someone, another person, asking me, do you want to talk to Dr. Cohen, Professor Cohen? I look, I turn around, I see another guy who is my age or maybe older than me. Yeah, he was, I think, older than me. Edip. Elliot with double L with double T. Strange. Why double L double T? Edip. He's another professor. Later I learned he was professor of mathematics and physics. And under his arm there were a couple of books. One of them, I'm also curious, I see quantum physics. He was a professor of physics. Yes, I said, but Professor Conway is sleeping. I don't want to disturb him. Don't bother, he says. He came, and then he started kicking his feet. Wake up, wake up. I don't know whether he called him John or Conway. I think he called him John. John, wake up, wake up. John woke up, and he sat straight, almost 90 degrees, and then Edip sat next to him. Very interesting moment. I'm coming to random. And then, of course, I don't have space. There's a couch, two of them sitting. And now I sat across them under the wall, which is under the board. And then what should I ask now? If I ask number 19, this guy just woke up. He will hate number 19. Because he had sweet nap. While incubating his brain, perhaps he was dreaming about numbers. I woke this poor guy. I didn't, but his friend woke him up because of me. And what important things I will say. At that time, randomly something came to my mind. Exactly in a second, randomly. I said, John, can you tell me what is random? As if I am here to ask him random. I came all the way from Tucson to ask him random question about random. How are you doing? 21 minutes. We didn't start even talk about random. I'm going to talk about philosophy of random. This is random. And this is random too. Guess what random things I have for you? I have even random this. My favorite politicians in 30 plus years in the United States. Random. Anyway, I will have some more random stuff for you. But they are not random. They happen to be here because of me and some other reasons. All has reasons for them to be here. Anyway, but for you maybe appear to be random. But why you are here, why you are watching me, is it random? No, you're led to here by some other circumstances. All goes back to Big Bang. Go back to random. And I said, Professor Conway, what is random? At that moment, he started answering me. He started to find a mathematical formula, explanation for random. He was not a normal guy. A normal person would say, who are you? Did you just wake me up to ask me a random question? A normal guy would get upset or be curious, but no, he didn't ask. He didn't even ask about my name. He just, in the middle of the book, he started defining random. John Conway, type his name. In fact, I have, 4 years later, I met him, talked several hours, and then meet him again about number 19, and then I served him Turkish delight and Turkish ayran. He finished all this Turkish delight, all sugar, my God. It could kill him. You know, there is a coma, sugar coma, he could be, but I didn't know it was really dangerous risking giving him, and he attacked, and also I helped him too. Now, 4 years later, there's a video of that. And then I told him that one, and anyway, he was remembering later, afterwards he remembered, after 4 years. And then I'm looking at him, he's trying, and then Elliot looking at him, he's trying to find, and I have no clue what he's talking about. He's talking about mathematics. Really, I didn't care about his definition of random, because I have studied random as a philosopher. I have been teaching this subject. Therefore, my mind, random is like a, what's called gambit. You know, you meet someone, why we say, hello, hi, how are you? Oh, I am fine, how are you? Useless words. You exchange these useless words all the time. Why? What is the purpose? In fact, while I was a freshman in communication class, I wrote a whole article on this subject, paper on it, wondering why we say this useless stuff. It has a purpose. It's like testing the voice. It's like you meet someone suddenly, and that person is seeing something, different people or the street, or reading a book. His mind is focused on something. The computer is open, an application could be deep into that application, heavy application, a lot of memory is sucked by that application, and suddenly another application opens up. It takes time. And they close that one, maybe because our brain doesn't really do multiple tasking, then take away from each other concentration. Therefore, now has to close that program, open the program of people's faces, recognition, who is this? Until that time, you say, hi, how are you? That person says, hi, how are you? Give that person time to upload the programs regarding humans. Whether you are enemy or friend, what is your name, what is it? And then that person closes whatever processing has, basically put them in sleep and engaging with you. That's it. And this guy basically did not have any of this, suddenly entered it. And then Professor Elliot Lip stopped him. In the middle, I'm also thinking, what is he talking about? You cannot define really randomness. Then he says, John, if you can find a formula for randomness, it's no more random. I'm looking here a little bit off because I want to see someone, though it is my reflection there, I'm a little bit off. Okay, a little few degrees. Then it's no more random. He didn't really listen. He wanted to continue to define random in a non-random way. He thought that he's able to define it without caging it, without reducing. It is really contradiction. When you define random, if you are come up with a good definition of it, especially mathematically, then you kill the random. Mr. Random is dead. At that time, I had to jump in because I didn't come there to spend my whole time, it was really an opportunity, good luck, because the word crazy changed the mind of the secretary from being a gatekeeper, from a guard, no person, to a yes person. And therefore, I didn't want to waste my time on random. I said, gentlemen, stop it, I said. I was sitting like pretzel on the floor across them, watching them. I said, stop it. If there is something random, it is me, I said. And then I went and grabbed the marker from John's hand. I said, let me tell you why I'm here. And then I wrote Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in Arabic, in the name of God, gracious and compassionate. And then I started telling them about number 19. This has 19 letters. And there are 4 words here, Ism, Allah, God, Rahman, gracious, Rahim, compassionate. And each word, the frequency of each word in the Quran are multiple of 19. And there are details and details. The letter combinations in the beginning of 29 chapters, their frequencies are multiple of 19. The number of chapters of the Quran, 114. Blah, blah, and then I'm listing these, and then it is also a prophecy. 19 is mentioned in chapter 74, and it is discovered in 1974. In chapter 74, in the context of authenticity of the Quran, and the name of the chapter is known as the Hidden One. And it starts, Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'anzir. O the Hidden One, come out and warn. O the secret, the mystery, the code, come out and warn people. Of course, people understood that it is Muhammad, but it is personification, literary style, personification of the number, the code that proves that this book is beyond human capacity. Because universal numbers are universal, mathematics is universal, the language of mathematics is in the nature. Like Galileo said, God's language in the universe is mathematics, and also human language, arbitrary, Arabic. The words, there's no rhyme and reason between why these words has these letters particular. It's random. People make up, and then with time becomes language. And random human language, well, I said random, but it has reason in that particular geography why this word led to other, but it's not in harmony with mathematics. It's not mathematical. It has other reasons. It's not mathematical reasons. There is no mathematical pattern in the language itself, in the words, letters of the words. Now, integrated in a very incredible interlocking system. And then I start giving example. I said, here it is, chapter 74, 19 is there. Its discovery time is 1974. Concatenation. What's it called? Concatenation? I have difficulty right now. I know that word, but right now it's not a good time to say that word. And when you multiply these 19 with 74, the chapter number is exactly 1406 lunar years between revelation of the Quran and this chapter and the discovery time. And the first statement, full statement of this chapter, Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'anzir, O the hidden one, come out and warn. Exactly 19 letters, and the numerical value of these letters, which during revelation of the Quran they were using the alphabet for numbering system until 200 years when they got numerals from India passed to Europe. It's called Arabic numerals, but during revelation of the Quran they were using abjad system. And it is proven archaeologically in Ifra's Universal History of Mathematics, huge book. There are 2 chapters on this, and there you will see evidences that during time of the revelation of the Quran, abjad system was used. And then the numerical value, abjad value of this, Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'anzir, or the hidden one, come out and warn, 19 letters, it's exactly 1974. And I said here, this is mathematical pattern. And besides this, the Quran has incredible, like besides number 19, there's also semantic mathematics. Like the word month occurs in the Quran exactly 12 times. The word day in singular form, month, and day in singular form exactly, how many times? 365 times. In the book, I have whole the lists of the chapter and verse number, and you see list. You can verify, random check. You can falsify it if there's falsehood there. It's physical, verifiable, falsifiable, scientific claim. It's not numerology, not esoteric interpretation. It's very clear, predictable patterns. Anyway, after that, the time came, they left. Basically, they needed to go to the class. They had few objections, questions. I answered all of them. Anyway, wow. This is random. My first start random. Right now, 33 minutes, 33 seconds, random. Professor Conway later, 4 years later, I met him again. We discussed extensively about number 19. Of course, he was objecting because it is beyond his paradigm. He's not expecting a book, divine, has mathematics in it. Therefore, he had to object. Like the paradigm during Galileo and Copernicus. Very smart people, scientists. Great smart people existed at that time too. But they couldn't see. They couldn't accept it. That the earth is not the center of the universe. That is rotating around the sun. Therefore, for a while, they didn't want to change their paradigm because it would change the paradigm majorly. And this number 19 too scares some. And my discussion with Carl Sagan was the best really among scientists or mathematicians, one of the best who had beautiful, concise criticism, but an outsider would criticize like that. And after 2-round debate with him before the era of popular internet, there was internet in academia about that time in 1995, I believe. I had 94 or 95. I was doing my honor thesis in philosophy on proving God's existence through number 19. And his second mail to me, the end, basically, I was refuting his claims, his questions, criticism or doubts. He ended up with say, of course, I might be wrong. Beautiful. Anyway, in fact, I am using Carl Sagan's The Demon Haunted World for my philosophy class, Philosophy of Science, as a textbook. It's very unconventional because it's not like a normal textbook. Though, Beside that, I have to use other things because there is redundancy in the book, a lot of focus on UFOs. Of course, it could be used as an example to look at other claims critically. But anyway, now these come to random. Here are some random stuff. Oh, before that, here is this random puzzle. This is random. This is my first patent, and the second patent is a rainbow travelator. This is the circular travelator, could be around this. The middle lane is the fastest lane, but from any point you can enter and exit. This is around this huge plaza or complex, and these are 19 buildings from low, 1 floor and 2 floor, 3 floor, and the middle one 19, but the middle one, this should be empty, and made of fiberglass so that the sunshine will go here. The middle one should be open space, but could be still a hexagon structure, but it should be transparent so that light go through. Anyway, this is it. And here is another random stuff. Semi-random. And guess about this random? One of my Turkish books, when I was best-selling Sunni author. Books are dangerous. Books are dangerous. I wrote such a book. It's about 20% humorous. This is my picture, and it was black and white. I was like this. I was a handsome guy. Handsome means really average. Means our features, facial features, geometry, morphology or topography, geometry of your face is average faces that people see. It is. In fact, at Texas University professors, they fed pictures of the girls, about 60-some pictures of the college girls into the computer, and they use computer to get the composite picture, means measure all the features, all the width and length of the nose and eyebrows and face, and then add them up, divide by 64 if there are 64 pictures fed into the computer, and then they got the composite picture, means the average of all the pictures, college girls. And then they show the college boys, which one of the 65 they added to that one, it's the same texture, the computer composite, and then most of the college boy picked the computer-made picture of the girl as the most physically beautiful, attractive. That's exactly our range. Sees the faces of people, find the average is good. We go back to Aristotle. Mean as an ideal. Mean as an ideal, even in our behavior. Either too stingy or kind of spreading the money. Either way, bad. You need to be charitable, but not just overspending, not stingy. Introverted or overly extroverted become obnoxious. I am maybe closing to that border. I'm very extroverted. Sometimes I may be perceived as obnoxious. I should be careful about that. Therefore, in between, or timid, or reckless, somewhere in between. Therefore, the average. Anyway, yeah, that was my picture. And well, since we are at it, I give you one more random. This is 19 questions for atheists. No, 10 questions. The Turkish one was 19 questions for atheists. Since I didn't have to write it in English, and I didn't have right to translate my work, and a college student, no, she was a high school student, Funda Shahin, that time high school student, a Turkish in New Jersey, and then now she's at Columbia University. I mentored her, but she also beautiful. She translated pretty well. This is a great, I claim that this is the best book about God's existence. Basically, bankrupts atheism. Atheism bankrupts with this book. And I wish that the other 9 questions were also translated. They are more theology related to defense of the Quran from criticism, false criticisms, mostly based on Sunni and Shiite distortions. Atheist criticism of the Quran is not based on the Quran, based on the distortions of distorted translations, distorted stories, and lies attributed to Muhammad. Therefore, it is mixed. But there is also misunderstanding or taken out of context. The Quran is a fascinating book. Okay, now let's come to random. Here are some random words I put for you. The first one appears to be pattern. It has a pattern, correct? But if you show it to an Arab who doesn't know English or a Chinese who doesn't know English, for that person may not have any meaning. It appears to be random, correct? But the next one, if you look at the next one, you can stop it. The next one, is it random? It looks like random because it is not in our dictionary. However, if you look at the letters of pattern, it follows a pattern and pattern to create number 2. It's basically every third letter put in an order, you end up with number 2. The third one is backward written, correct? You can tell. It is backward, therefore it is not really random, based on pattern. If pattern has a pattern, this one, reverse of the pattern, follow the same pattern. Follow a pattern. It is not random. But it could be random. Randomly, you could get this one. It is less than infinity to get this one, correct? We can calculate even 28 letters. Taking one out, no, in English alphabet is not 28, correct? It's 26, because I know many alphabets. Arabic alphabet, 28 letters. English, perhaps 26 letters. Out of 1 out of 26. If you are putting back, for each one will be 1 out of 26. And 26 times 26 times 26 times 26, what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 over 26 to the power of 7. 1 out of that chance to be random. But you say, well, this cannot be really random. This is huge, too little possibility. And then this one, Entrap, is random. Well, it has all the letters of pattern except one, basically, and also it is a word in dictionary, and it's less random, correct? We can say not random. And this one also follow a pattern, correct? P, T, E, N, A, T, R. P, T, E, 1, 2, I don't know, check it. Maybe starting with P every third, okay? And the last one, I want you to find out whether it's random or not. Well, one of them could be this. Is this random? Looks like random, but it's not random either. The thickness of line almost the same, correct? And there is no also straight line. They're all curved. In that sense, it's not random. Now, what is random? Random really means doesn't have a cause. If there is cause leading something, and the cause has some effect, for example, tail and head, in fact, it's not random because it really depends on the power exerted through thumb and basically the distance that thumb goes under it, how much distance, and how much the thumb is pressuring the other finger and the way you throw it, how much goes up, and the air, if there is some humidity even there's little wind, of course, and the distance it falls. If you calculate all of these, absolutely, it is predictable whether tail or not. 100% you will get all the predictions. tail, or head. In fact, they made machines that could, through this head and tail, all the time predict 100%, because it follows the laws. Now, if you don't know, if you don't calculate, you are not able to calculate, then you say random, correct? Random. Well, then, the most random stuff is the one that has no will, correct? Like dust in the air, maybe? Little minute dust in the air. You don't know what direction it goes. Of course, that follows all the physics laws. But if we don't know, then it is random. We call random because we don't know. There are certain events, chemical events happen. If you don't know about those chemicals, if you don't have experience, it is random for you, but the person who is chemist knows exactly what kind of reactions will happen afterwards. Scientists, basically, we don't know really. We discover the universe all the time. For scientists, universe initially is random. The more you know, the more you discover that the things you thought it's random, it is not random. For example, the eclipse, initially, because it happens every 19 years, it changes the positions. Not every year is not the same exactly. It's not the same place. And therefore, it takes 19 years, the period is too long. And since some societies did not follow that long methodologically, they didn't know even there was a meton cycles every 19 years, sun, moon, and the earth will come on the same line. And they thought it is random based on the worldly event, the eclipses happen. In their mind, it was random. Very interesting. Random. Let me check random for you. I got the word random here. There is a minimum number and the maximum number you put here, you find random. Let me put 114 here. The first one is number 1, and the second one is 114. And then I say random. Do it. What got 36? Okay, I'm going to play 36. I'm not very familiar with it. My wife is playing with this one. And I'm going to say song, okay? I'm going to put 36. Anieluri. Let me now random this one. This is one of my favorite. Turkish march. Mozart. Okay, one more random. $61. Okay. Now, I would like to talk about Hume's rules of association. Hume was an atheist philosopher. I found his objection to monotheism very unreasonable. Some people think, oh great, well, a group of people can make a ship, why not a group of gods can make the universe? Doesn't make sense. Because God by definition is independent. God by definition, God exists on its own and the first cause. And therefore, you reduce that one to gods, well, they become like humans. Well, we are able to have a team, to make a team and divide our work and work on the same project because we all share the same genetic code. We all share the same rules of inference, 19 rules of inference. I teach logic, symbolic logic, copy. Introduction to Logic, it is one of the most, in fact, the top textbook that used most of the years, the length of the years is used, and the most popular book, textbook, broke the record if you check. And that one in the cover, the back cover is so important, 19 rules of inference. We are all born with this one, like modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, and goes down. 9 rules, basic rules, and also 10 rules of replacement, like tautology stuff. These are the rules we are born. Every child is born with these logic rules. Every child is born as a philosopher. They are questioning everything. But the parents, they want to limit their children's curiosity, especially when they question the so-called sacred package of falsehood, like religious, nationalistic packaging of smelly, stinky lies, superstitions, but they are packaged with shiny taboos you cannot question. When child question those, they are reprimanded in oppressive societies, in ignorant families, and that child lose their questioning, creative, critical thinking faculties. And then they become robot, part of this stupid society, repeating the same falsehood, make life miserable, spending money instead of on health and food, spending money on military, waving flags to kill other people, miserable life, drinking alcohol or drugs, or becoming bad to each other, egoistic, all because of the critical and creative thinking of philosopher. When their child is by family, they go to the church, to the mosque, my gosh, more taboos, more the biggest lies are promoted as sacred truth, biggest lies, and they see it contradicts their logic. And then if they do not have the courage, or, well, they are kids, young, they don't have neither economy or positions or power, anything, therefore most of them, they basically accept. They say, well, in order to be able to survive in this society, I need to not think, question some subjects. In fact, I should accept all their lies. And meanwhile, it damages the brain. These logical rules, now there are Trojan horses, logical fallacies in it, and then start accepting, justifying those logical fallacies. Instead of thinking properly, naturally, like God created, instead of factory adjustment, what's called factory, I forgot, there is, first made in factory, the way it's adjusted. Instead, they follow the adjusted by the crowds. And those crowds could be very bad crowds, evil crowds. They could be like United States, the religion is capitalism, correct? But if you read this one, this is really a slight criticism to capitalism. And if you read this one, my gosh, it's religion. It's religion. 3 people, 3 individuals own more wealth than half of the population. Great Americans, 150 of you useless. You cannot even equal 150 million of Americans cannot equal to 3 people. Who are you, great Americans? Big lie. You are on the street. You are hungry. If 1 month you don't have paycheck, you are on the street. You are working like slaves. You are indebted to them. They enslave you through banks. Banks are robbers, are criminals. They siphon money from working people, poorest people in the country, to the rich, billionaires. Imagine just one of the items, one out of hundreds of items, they rob people, the banks, like overdraft fee. One error that person makes or cannot make, that means need to get food and overdraft charge. 25 cents extra they overcharge, and they penalize with $35 fee. Just in 2017, I remember 3 banks, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, made $7 billion from poorest of poorest American. They siphoned $7 billion to the rich because they couldn't find few cents in their checking account. They gave 25 cents or $1, but they share $35 in 2 weeks, because 2 weeks later their check go there, they get their, let's say they gave $1 to purchase something, food or drink water, or they made a mistake, charge, and then they get $1 and also extra $35 in 2 weeks. What percentage of interest do you know? And this is legal robbery, because they make the laws, because they purchase your congressperson. In fact, they decide who will be the candidate through the money to the system. And therefore, this guy was a great guy. And the Democrats establishment, which works duly for the same masters, they work against him. Through media is also, unfortunately, is for corporations, by corporations, of corporations, and the government is also hijacked by corporations, and religion is also religion. Yeah. I was talking about Hume's rules of association. Very interesting. Hume enumerates. I know I'm jumping from topics to topics, which is fun. It's randomly going. I talk about Hume, and then I said Hume's idea of polytheism is okay, doesn't make sense, because we humans, we are coming from the same, we use the same 19 rules of influence, we have the same genetic code, the same interest, then we are able to agree. But because we have one person in the past, we go back all the way. And that's how the universe, we see it is expanding, the pieces separating from each other, then we go back, we say, well, 13.8 billion years ago, the universe must be one point, singularity. The same with humans, we are increasing the numbers, therefore go back, we should go to one species, that Homo sapien, and then it came from the previous hominids or other mammals. We are evolution. Evolution is a divine assembly line of creation, 100%, because the laws existed. The essence, all the atoms, in fact, helium, all the atoms comes from helium, hydrogen, and the laws existed in the first second of the universe, all generated from there. Therefore, everything is fulfillment of those laws and the characteristics. Now, I said humans cannot be gods. It's not a good analogy of polytheism. Polytheism is impossible. It is logically impossibility, because by definition, God is independent creator and there is other God. Why they should go together? They accept each other. Both of them are infinite. But his idea of rules of association is incredible, beautiful. Because why it is beautiful? Because it is enumerated. It seems very abstract concept, but he did it. He says our brain associate things in 3 ways. One is proximity. If something, we see them close to each other, we associate with each other. When we remember one, we remember the other. When we see one, we remember the other. And the other is cause and effect. If one thing causing other, if we see the cause, we remember effect. If we see the effect, we remember the cause. And the third one, similarities. Of course, similarities and lack of similarities also means similar or antonym. It is also on the line of similarity. Less similar becomes antonym, whether similar or not similar. Very interesting. For example, if I say bee, what you remember? You may remember this one. Well, this is a little bit more, proximity may not be close, but you remember honey or you remember flower because of the proximity. And if you remember honey, because of the causation, bee causes honey. And if I say bee, you remember flower, it is because of proximity. If I say bee, you associate with what? Let's say ant, because of similarities. Good. And this one may be honey through honey, bee causes honey, and then honey, this is proximate to the honey, and the second is a second secondary. You may remember this one too. Okay, David Hume, very interesting. Random, I'm going to finish randomness. Oh my gosh, it became 1 minute. Okay, I want to show one more random stuff. This is random, is it? Well, within the context, may not be. And of course, I want to show you this one. This is bamboo. Beautiful. This one, water. I feel bad for this. I wanted to put in a bigger pot, but my wife did not accept. It is hers, therefore it will be there. Thank you very much for your time. 1 hour, perhaps I could do much better, but it is also enjoyment. Take care.